everyone, I'm back with another cooking tutorial. I know it's been a long time. I don't think I've had one since probably Thanksgiving, but anyway, I'm back, so here we go. Today I'm gonna make a tuna noodle casserole. This is a dish I have loved since I was a kid. My grandmother taught me how to make this, and I hope that, I know tuna fish isn't big on a lot of people's meal plans, but it's good, so I'm hoping everybody will try it. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a bag of noodles. I like to use the wide noodles because I think it gives it more oomph and it kind of fills you up more. You're going to need a can of cream of mushroom soup. You're going to need a can of tuna fish. Now with the soup and the tuna fish, I actually got the bigger family size cans only because you end up using about 2 cans of each anyway. But I went ahead and I got a smaller can of tuna fish, just in case I need more tuna in it, but I don't think I will. You're going to need a bag of frozen peas, and make sure you take them out a little bit and just let them not completely thaw out, but thaw out a little bit so that they're not completely frozen. You're going to need some butter, and I'll explain why in a second. And then the last thing you need is really, now you can change this up. I'm going with a loaf of regular white bread. You can also use breadcrumbs. Now what you're going to do with the bread and the butter is you're going to make a breadcrumb topping for this, and actually that's going to be something you're going to want to do first because you want it to be ready to go when you want to top your casserole here. I already have a pot of water getting ready to boil. While the water is working to boil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my grater, my little grater, and you really want to start out with a few slices at a time. Now you can use as little or as much bread as you want. If you like a really crumbled topping, then you're probably going to end up using a lot of bread or a lot of breadcrumbs. If you like very little, then maybe a few slices will do it. But let's see how far we get with this. And when you're grating your bread, you want to use the large holes on this side. You don't want to use the smaller holes, because the larger the crumbs, the better it'll taste and the crispier it'll get. Does it have to be perfect? Absolutely not. Does it have to be completely grated? Absolutely not. You see you got all these big lumps coming out like this. It's perfectly fine. Don't even worry about it. Shadow, will you please go away? Excuse me, guys. I'm going to lock up the cat because, oh, I think he heard that very well because he's starting to walk away. Okay. So that's 10 slices right there. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Large chunks like that are perfectly fine. It's not a big deal at all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over to my stove. And then I'm going to add a little bit of butter at a time until there's enough butter that all the bread is coated. And then it starts to all get all nice and buttery. And what it's going to look like, it's going to look like big mushy sand, wet sand, which is what you want, which is perfectly fine. Okay, so my water is boiling, so what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to add some salt to the water. And this is pretty much the only salt you're going to add to this dish, because obviously you have the cream of mushroom soup, you have the tuna fish, you have the butter, so you don't need to add that much. And then I'm going to add noodles and let them cook down. You just want to cook them according to directions. So this should take about maybe 8 minutes, if that. Turn them up a little bit so they don't start sticking right away. Alright, so I'm going to put the bread on medium heat. And what I want to do is I just want to take my spoon and I just want to make a little pocket right here in the middle. And I'm just going to start adding the butter. I'm going to start with maybe about 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to plop it right in the middle. And then just take a little bit at a time and just add it around on the pieces of bread. Start to hear the butter starting to melt, and just start working around. Work the butter around, try getting it on some of the bread. Now your other choice, like I said, is breadcrumbs. Now you can do it like this. You can just put the breadcrumbs right in the pan, add a little bit of butter, and make it, you know, a little soggy. Or what you can do is just pour the breadcrumbs right on top of the casserole itself after all your other ingredients are in there. And just add little pats of butter right on top, and that will even out a little bit as it's baking. It's going to bake in the oven for a little while. Now breadcrumbs, it may actually look like wet sand, which is perfectly fine. But the crumbs here, they're not gonna, I'm gonna try to get them a little brown, but chances are it's not gonna look much different than what it looks like right now. You see it's starting to soak up a little bit. So I'm kind of happy with this right now. I think I'm just gonna do one more little pat of butter. Now, I know in my family, I have a few members of my family who don't like green peas. Green peas are optional. You can leave the green peas out. If you don't like tuna fish and you just want a noodle casserole with the peas and the crushed cream of mushroom soup, that's fine too. If you want to try adding a different meat, maybe like shredded chicken or something, go ahead and try that. Anything is possible with casseroles. Casseroles are like, you know, how Domino's says they have like 34 million different versions of pizza. Well, you have millions of different versions of casseroles you can do. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for a minute because some of it's getting soggy. I want it to crisp up a little bit on the stove. So I'm going to let that be. And while that's working and the noodles are still working, what I'm actually going to do is open up my can of tuna. And then as soon as everything starts coming together, then I'll show you how to put everything together in the dish and what we have to bake it at. All right, I'll see you in a few. Okay, so my noodles are done. I drained them already. Do not rinse them out because I don't know if you can see there's all the steam coming out. You actually want them to stay hot because you want the cream of mushroom soup to actually melt down a little bit. When you, as you may know, when you get cream of mushroom soup, it tends to be very thick. And what you want is you want it to actually cook down a little bit inside the noodle. So I'm going to add the cream of mushroom soup. And you want to try to get all of it if you can. If not, not a big deal. Just get as much, scrape down all the sides, scrape down the bottom. Can doesn't have to be perfectly cleaned out, but like I said, the more the merrier. And just give it a quick mix so that the noodles don't, well, in two parts, the noodles don't start sticking together. And so that the cream of mushroom soup can actually start working its way through the warmth here and start thinning out a little bit. Now, here's a trick. If it's not thin enough, like this, I would like it to be just a tad bit thinner. Grab some milk. Toss it in the can and just swirl it around a little bit. That's all you have to do. Does it sound weird? Yeah, it does. I know it does, but it does help. Okay, so I'm just going to mix that up really quick. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Now, if you like a little bit more creaminess, go ahead and add a smaller can, the regular small size can of another cream of mushroom soup. Hey, stop. And if need be, maybe just a little bit more milk. But this seems good to me right now. Now, my tuna fish, I opened it up, and I actually drained that as well. Now, if you get tuna in oil or water, it doesn't matter which one you use. Just make sure you drain as much as you can out of it, because you don't want all that liquid in there. So, just take a spoon or a fork, try to break it up a little bit over the casserole, over your noodles, and just let it start falling in. And at this point, after you mix it up, that's when you'll determine if you want to use the smaller can or if you need an extra can, or, you know, depending on which can you use. Like the big can I got at Walmart. Now, if you can't find a large can like the tuna fish I have in here, so I'm not going to open up the new can. Now, with your peas, okay, I bought steamable bag, which was an accident. Now, they seem okay. They seem like they thawed out a little bit, but not enough for me, so I'm just going to run it under hot water for a minute. You really want the peas to be broken up. All the peas right in there. Just like that. If you don't want too many peas, add half a bag. It's not a big deal. But I like a lot of peas in my casserole. And again, just mix it all up. Okay, what I'm actually going to do right now is I'm going to turn on my oven. I'm going to turn it on to 350 and let it start heating up. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay, now, the best dish I find, in my opinion, to use is a 9-inch casserole dish. Now, if you don't have a casserole dish, or if you don't have a 9-inch casserole dish, an 8-inch will work fine. It'll be a little thicker, but that's okay. If you don't have either one, a 9x13 glass baking dish is just as well. It'll be thinner, but at the same time, it's not going to taste good. It's optional. I'm going to do it only to give me peace of mind, because I know with my luck, while I'm doing this tutorial, it'll come out sticking to the sides and everything. So I'm just going to do it just for my own peace of mind here. Not too much. Just enough to coat it. Just a bit. Alright, so go ahead and just pour the casserole in. Oh, this is heavy. It does help if you have an extra set of hands, and like you just heard, I don't. So you have no idea how excited I am for this. This is like one of my all-time favorite dishes. Not only does it taste good, but also because it's a dish that my grandma and I kind of have a bond over. So. Alright, so you want to try to even it out as much as possible. You want to try to push it down so that it's all kind of even and it bakes evenly. Now comes the breadcrumbs. And all you want to do is you want to try to sprinkle it on as evenly as possible. Some of my breadcrumbs got a little too overdone, which is, that's fine, it's not a big deal. It's okay. Okay, so, like I said, just try to even everything out. If it's not all covered, not a big deal. If you want to add some more breadcrumbs, just again, cook up some more breadcrumbs in the pan rather, with some butter. And then cover it all up. That's all you have to do. That is it. So what you're going to do is you're going to throw it in the oven for maybe about 10 to 12, maybe 15 minutes tops. Because I guarantee what happened while we were adding all the ingredients to the noodles got cold, or at least warm. So you want everything to be nice and warm and cooked through. So Again, no more than 15 minutes, but I'd start looking after 10. Where is Shadow? Because I know he's going to try to jump into the oven. So in the oven, 10 to 15 minutes. Start looking in after 10 minutes, and then when you get back, I'll show you how it looks on the plate. Yummy! Look at how good that looks. Yummy! Okay, so you want to cut into it just like you would a pie. Here's my plate. So you could take as big a piece or as small a piece as you want. Knowing Michael, he's going to want a nice big piece because he called and said he was starving. Because some of the breadcrumbs may start falling off. Oh, oops. There we go. Oh, look at that. That looks so good. This is just absolutely yummy. So I would beg you to try this. Try it out. Text me back, send me a video, whatever. Let me know how it came out. And guys, really, really please try to enjoy it. Alright guys, talk to you soon. Later. Yum.